he's a good fighter. He have everything. He's a complete fighter. I don't know. I need to do something, right? But believe me, if he's gonna run all night, he's not gonna try to win. He's not gonna do anything. So I hope we bring all the best and give the fans what they wanna see.
You've seen Canelo Alvarez stare down plenty of fighters, but this time, something's different. His usual confidence, it slips. And the reason? One jaw-dropping photo. You're scrolling online when suddenly, boom, a new image of Terence Crawford surfaces. But this isn't the Crawford you remember. He's bulked, shredded, dangerous. The man who once ruled at lightweight now looks like a super middleweight savage sculpted for war. The internet explodes, but one reaction stands out: Canelo's. Insiders close to his camp say the moment that photo dropped, the mood changed. Gone were the jokes. Gone was the casual bravado. All that remained was a sharp, stunned silence. Because what was supposed to be a smaller man moving up suddenly didn't look so small. You start digging, and it gets deeper. Crawford's walking around at nearly 186 pounds in camp. More than enough to meet Canelo at 168 without flinching. And it's not just weight, it's speed, it's power. It's that cold, calculating IQ that's made him nearly untouchable for 17 years. Canelo, who once brushed off Terence as not a real 154-pounder, now has to face the reality. This isn't some undersized, desperate challenger looking for a final payday. This is a man who's chasing greatness, who's calculated every inch of this transformation to make history and humiliate Canelo in the process. And when fans zoom in on Canelo's face at the last media event, the energy's off. The relaxed shoulders, gone. The stare, flickering. Even the press starts whispering, did Canelo just realize what he's signed up for? You can't help but wonder what happens when the predator finally sees his prey isn't prey at all, but another apex killer staring right back. Canelo, on the other hand, everything's at stake. His pride, his legacy, his control of the sport. He's the face of boxing, but for the first time in years, he's entering a fight where he might be outthought. And if you're him, how do you even train for that? You can lift all the weights, you can run all the miles, but how do you prepare for a man who's already outmaneuvering you before the first bell even rings? So you start asking yourself, is it possible Crawford's already in his head before they even step in the ring? The boxing world keeps talking about size, weight, power, but here's what they're missing. You don't bulk up like Crawford unless you're planning something deliberate, something dangerous. Terence didn't just hit the gym and put on muscle for show. His transformation was surgical, intentional. When he stepped on that scale and showed 186 pounds, then turned around and laughed it off saying, I'm 140. He wasn't joking. He was sending a message to Canelo, to the fans, to you. Because if you've been paying attention, you already know Crawford's never been the kind of fighter to move without purpose. This isn't a man trying to meet Canelo halfway.
You beat Canelo, they're gonna give you the credit or they're gonna make excuses. The same thing happened with Spence.
Same thing gonna happen with Spence. They're gonna figure out some type of excuse why Terence Crawford was successful in the Canelo Alvarez fight.
You're gonna retire after if you win this fight, or you're gonna keep going?
I don't know. We shall see.
This is a man daring Canelo to meet him in the middle of the ring and survive it. And it's working. Every analyst is now pivoting. The question isn't, can Crawford handle the weight? The question is, what happens when Canelo can't handle the speed that came with it? Because Crawford didn't get slow. He didn't get stiff. He got sharper. And he got heavier in all the right ways. Think about that. He's not dragging around dead weight. He's dragging danger. His footwork is still light, but now when he lands, it hurts more. It rattles more. It resonates. And Canelo, he's not used to that. He's used to punishing smaller fighters who freeze, who flinch, who can't handle the moment. But Crawford isn't just walking into this moment, he's owning it. And deep down you have to wonder, what if this isn't Crawford biting off more than he can chew? What if it's Canelo who's about to choke on what he underestimated? You can hear it in the gyms, in the studios, in the hush before someone dares to say it out loud. Canelo looks nervous. He won't say it publicly. He can't. But insiders are starting to notice it. That look in his eye, that brief pause before answering questions about Crawford, that uncomfortable grin he gives when asked about the weight. It's not fear, but it's close. It's calculation. It's the realization that this isn't just another payday. This is legacy warfare. Because while Canelo's resume is stacked, titles at 154, 160, 168, even 175, he's never faced someone like Crawford. Someone who isn't climbing the ladder for the first time, but leaping over it with precision. And what's worse for Canelo? The world sees it now. They see Crawford's hunger, the discipline, the eerie calm in his eyes. That's the kind of opponent that rewrites careers. And you have to imagine, it's got to sting. Canelo's used to being the guy with nothing to prove. But now, he's fighting for validation. He's fighting to keep his throne from someone coming in as the underdog, but already acting like the king. And it's not just fans whispering. Fighters, too. Retired champs. Legends. They're watching the tape, comparing footwork, timing, strategy, and many of them quietly shifting their predictions. Because this isn't a fight between a small man and a big one. It's a fight between certainty and complacency. And every time you see Canelo try to laugh it off, the question grows louder. Is he laughing to brush off the pressure? Or is he laughing to stop himself from panicking? You can feel the shift the moment Terence Crawford walks into the gym. Not because he's loud. Even Canelo loyalists are beginning to tilt. Because they've seen what happens when fighters believe too much in their name. Crawford doesn't care about names. He's hunting greatness. And he doesn't care whose era it is. He plans to take it and end it in one night. So the question lingers. What do you do when the man they called too small walks in and makes your greatness look like just another stepping stone?
I think this kind of fights needs to be in Vegas. You know, this is not the same. It will be in other place. I think Vegas is for these kind of fights, and being in the first time in the Legend Stadium for me is a history in my career. So I'm very glad to be involved in this.
You can't ignore the numbers, but this fight was never just about stats. Crawford may be 37, moving up 2 weight classes, and technically the smaller man, but when you look at his body of work, those concerns start to fall apart. This isn't some bloated legend clinging to relevance. It's a surgeon, sharper, calmer, and more strategic than he's ever been. And Canelo knows it. That's why the tension is thick every time they're near each other. Canelo's camp is fixated on reminding everyone of his power, his dominance at 168, his chin, his legacy. But Crawford doesn't bite. He's not selling you a fairy tale. He's bringing facts and fists. The bulk up isn't about intimidation. It's about preparation. Crawford isn't just gaining size. He's building a version of himself that can survive 12 rounds of punishment while still dissecting you from the inside. He's not trading punches like a younger man trying to prove a point. He's setting traps, reading rhythm, timing breath. That's what scares analysts the most. They've seen fighters go up in weight and get slower, duller, easier to catch. But Crawford, he looks like he gained speed, like the extra weight only added horsepower to a machine already built for war. Even Canelo's former opponents are weighing in now. Some whisper respect, others quiet concern, because they've been in there with him. They know what it's like when the man across from you doesn't just want to win. He wants to make a statement so loud, the entire sport has to listen. And if Crawford pulls it off, it won't just be an upset. It'll be a shift in boxing's axis. So what's more dangerous? A bigger man with legacy to protect, or a smaller one with nothing to lose and everything to prove? By now, the world isn't just watching, it's holding its breath. Crawford walks into this fight not just as an underdog, but as a disruptor, a man willing to step into a weight class where most fighters would hesitate, stare down a legend, and dare to rewrite the rules. He's not fueled by cockiness or hype, he's fueled by conviction. You can see it in his eyes during interviews. You can hear it when he talks about Canelo, not with fear, but with surgical precision. And while critics continue debating reach, age, and weight, Crawford is already living in the moment of impact. He's trained his body for this transformation, yes, but more importantly, he's trained his mind. He doesn't see Canelo as some unstoppable Goliath. He sees patterns, mistakes, and moments of hesitation he can exploit. Meanwhile, Canelo has remained eerily calm. Some call it confidence, others see the cracks, because deep down, even the most seasoned warriors can feel when a storm is coming. And Crawford? He's no longer just a fighter. He's a storm with a mission. Every jab, every feint, every step on that canvas will carry the weight of history. This fight isn't just about belts. It's about legacy versus hunger, fame versus fire. And if Crawford wins, decisively, or even controversially. The conversation around who's pound for pound best won't just reopen, it'll explode. So here's the question only you can answer. When a man risks it all to chase greatness, will you be the one who doubted him, or the one who witnessed the rise?